Remember when this was in the news?
Most valuable, but the company's tax payments are not keeping up with its great wealth. Okay, that's a profound understatement. Here's one example. Last year, Amazon made $5.6 billion in profit. They netted that, but they used tax credits and other benefits to avoid paying any federal income tax.
How does this happen? Well, the easiest answer given by most critics is that it's the product of a broken tax system. But that's really just part of the picture. To understand how we get here, we need to understand capital strikes. So capital strikes are when businesses divest or refuse to reinvest their profits. They might go through rounds of layoffs, refuse to expand their workforce, transfer the jobs to a different location, whether it's a different city, state, or country. And financial institutions might engage in capital strikes by changing their lending patterns in ways that can make it more expensive or difficult for people and small businesses to get loans. And just how the threat of a labor strike can sometimes be enough to get employers to listen to their demands, the mere threat of a capital strike can bend the will of policymakers. Now, most commonly in the news, we see capital strikes play out with state and local governments over various forms of tax breaks and/or developments of infrastructure that would directly benefit that company. This causes the state to oftentimes lose millions of dollars in tax revenue and possibly even cost them millions more on expenditures just to keep those companies' jobs. But it's not always just about taxes. Right now, we are in the midst of one of the biggest capital strikes in our history. Despite record high after-tax profits, corporations are collectively sitting on record amounts of cash holdings, refusing to reinvest. Why? Well, they're leveraging their power to change or totally prevent legislation that might reduce their profits. That's why, despite strong public support for certain policies, they can continue to be overlooked. Some options will never make it to the table, and it's not because policymakers are blind to common sense good ideas. They're just being held hostage. To use a recent example, let's look at the idea of a transactional tax on Wall Street trades. Now, basically, this would be like a sales tax placed on stocks. And the tax is valued low, usually 0.1%. So that would mean that for each $1,000 market bet, it would only be taxed $1. Now, while being popular amongst the people, this is not a popular policy amongst the elite. So what happens? Well, the people write or call their congressperson, maybe they'll demonstrate, and the elite lay out their options. Option A, they can bring up campaign contributions, be it giving more or threatening to take away. Or option B, they can threaten a capital strike. Now, neither of these options look good for the congressperson. Option A means that they're most likely not going to be reelected, as fundraising is almost the surest predictor of who will win. So what about option B? With this option, corporations retaliate and take it out on the public. In this particular example, they will decrease market activity, which could have a ripple effect of crashing the stock market. The public will be flooded with messaging about the hits to their 401ks for retirement, and people will feel the pressure of the increase in unemployment. Not too great a grounds to be reelected. Coincidentally enough, the corporate-owned media does not cover capital strikes the same way they do labor strikes. Corporations are cast as these victims who are cash-strapped to the verge of insolvency with no choice but to cut jobs or move abroad.